There was a little drama in the Smite scene over this past weekend, and especially kind of tied to other games recently porting over skins in new titles as Smite 2 was officially announced. In case you guys missed it over the last few days, a very exciting thing, especially for MOBA fans, because it's 10 years after the initial release of Smite 1, Smite 2 is now here. With it, though, a bit of flack and drama, despite many being excited for the game on a new engine to slowly be ported out. The big drama being around the porting over of skins, or your god skins, in the game from Smite 1 to Smite 2. We have seen drama around this when Overwatch 1 became Overwatch 2. We especially saw this when it was CSGO going into CS2, as they did successfully port over their skins. I don't believe that's a fair, direct comparison, but I got the chance to talk to 3 separate Titan Forge devs and staff members about this and the reason behind why Smite 1 decided not to port skins over to Smite 2. Well, you might be interested to hear the explanation, but also feel free to give your feedback down below. Do you agree or disagree with their decision making and the resolve or resolution they put out there to their players? Because it certainly was not an easy choice to make. When it comes to porting over those skins, you guys decided that you could not do that. Could you guys maybe explain for someone like myself and a casual, like what is the difficulty of, or what's the explanation of why that choice was made, and then what's the partial resolve you guys put out?
Yeah, so Smite's been around for 10 years. You know, we spent 10 years making about 1,600 skins, I think there are in Smite, which is a lot of skins. And UE3 and UE5 are fundamentally different engines. And it's not just, oh, it's a better version. People think that, oh, 3, 4, 5, it must be connected. The way that they approach things technically are completely different. So the way that you create a material, like the texture on a model, the way that the effects system works, everything is completely different. So we can't just copy paste a skin from Smite 1 to Smite 2. For a normal skin, not a tier 5 that is a fancy evolving skin, if you're not familiar with Smite's tier system, which is silly, it takes about 8 weeks to get a skin from Smite 1 to Smite 2 of actual, like a person working for 8 weeks. And with 1,600 skins, we did the math, and it was like 240 person years or something if we're trying to get all the skins over from Smite 1 to Smite 2. And we were like, geez, if we're trying to do that, we wouldn't have the time and the capability to make Smite 2 as awesome as we knew it could be on the gameplay side, because all of our resources would just be going towards, well, we got to port all these skins. So we put a lot of thought into how do we make players feel rewarded and like we're giving them their money that they spent in Smite 2, but in a way that, you know, will let our development team be able to make the amazing game that they really want and have the time to do that.
And so you have the explanation there for one person, right? One person's man hours, it would take apparently 8 weeks to port over just a single skin. I believe around 1,600 skins or whatever that crazy number was. And you do the math and they equate it to one person spending over 240 years to port those skins from Unreal Engine 3 into Unreal Engine 5. Now, there's also been a big debate out there about the validity of that statement. I'm not a dev. I'm also not an engineer, and I was also in that room, not in the correct spot to try and correct someone who was telling me that information, although there has been a debate across Twitter when I did post this. I, for one, will take their word for it that the difficulty and the length they would have to go to port over their skins would not be worth it for Hi-Rez or Titan Forge to do so. That did not stop people from continuing to debate this, though, because even though you get legacy gems towards 50% or sometimes 100% of your purchases, at least they are giving players something. And I also found it very interesting, the comparison here between CSGO to CS2, and there was a lot of responses on this, because a game like CS, they literally had to do that. If they did not port over skins, and if you guys are unaware of the Counter-Strike skin market, it's one of the biggest of all time in gaming and esports, because your skins in-game have real-life value through the Steam store and third-party trading sites. So those skins are not just in the game forever. They're not like Valorant or League of Legends or Smite, where they're on your account and you're not really allowed to real-life trade them. If you have CS skins, you basically have the equivalent in some form or another of real-life cash money. And if that economy was to say, hey, we're not going to port over your skins over the last decade, we are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in skins, they would ruin the entire ecosystem in game. They literally had no choice but to port everything over. And it's also on their own engine, so that apparently makes it easier. And then, of course, you talk to Hi-Rez Titan Forge people, and they say that porting process is a lot more difficult. It's not their engine. It's Unreal Engine 3 into 5. And although things are looking great on 5, porting over is not as easy as one might expect. So although I understand it's not the ideal resolution, I can also understand that it's not very easy to necessarily do. It's not just say it and boom, it's done. But that was more of an explanation right here.
Legacy, where in Legacy Gems, you're going to get every gem that you've ever spent in Smite 2. And gems are like the currency that's real money, basically. And you can use those to pay for up to 50% of almost anything in Smite 2 until you've used up your balance. So skins, battle passes, events, everything like that will be 50% off until you've used all of your legacy gems. Some things may be 100% you can use with your legacy gems, but most things will be 50% off. And then there's also a Divine Legacy program where we look at all of your accomplishments, all the things that you've unlocked in Smite and done there, and we carry over a lot of that to Smite 2. So you can see I have a badge that shows I owned Archon Thanatos in Smite 1, which is a really famous skin that people like. Or you can see I had 70 stars on Susano in Smite 1. I played that god a lot, and I want to show that off in Smite 2. So you'll be able to do that. We couldn't move all the skins, but hopefully players still feel like, hey, I still have all my money. I still feel respected because all my accomplishments are there, and people can see, what a baller I was in Smite as I enter this new generation of a better Smite.
And so for me, I just found it very interesting to hear all of these things. Also, we have a full interview with these guys around 15 to 20 minutes on this channel too. It was just really fun to talk about and things that I just don't know anything about porting skins from one engine to the other, and of course the benefits of one engine versus the other. And it seems that a lot of people are very excited. At the end of the day, this was not ideal, and they understood the risk of announcing Smite 2 and not porting over those skins, and they weighed the options. They were like, do we spend all this man hours and all this time and effort to port these skins, or do we work on a new game on a new engine after 10 years? For me personally, it didn't impact me too much. I don't spend too much money on these games on skins, so I'm more of a casual player. I do feel for those few diehards out there who spent thousands of dollars, but hopefully you got your money's worth out of this game. And if you really do enjoy the game, Smite 2 should be an upgrade, and there will be at least a bit of a benefit for you to buy future skins, or at least have part of your money back to do that. And at the end of the day, the very end of the day, if you don't want to, you don't have to. Smite 1 will continue on, as will Smite 2. So if that's your real defining factor of what makes the game the best, then keep on playing Smite 1. And I guess we'll see how this rollout works. There's definitely a lot more interesting facts. I won't dive into the itty-bitty geeky things about this. The number of gods on release, number of skins that we ported over, and of course the two games operating separately. They dive more into that in our full interview. But that is the reason why Smite 1 will not be porting skins over into Smite 2. What do you guys think? That was a mouthful. I'm gonna go drink caffeine or something. Till next time, take care of yourselves. Okay, bye.